Let's turn to. I liked it, Michael.
Okay.
Talking to Durham, yeah, it's never good to see Ben Stokes, the England skipper, limping off the field, but that happened in the 100. Joining us now with his thoughts on that and the possibility of being fit for the first test against Sri Lanka a week on Wednesday at Old Trafford is the former England fast bowler Steve Harmison. Hi, Harmy.
How are we, gents? You all right?
Yeah, that's a bit
it's
of a
the
worrying
worst
sign.
blow, isn't it, for England? He's the least replaceable player. You could almost replace anybody else in the team, but him, it just leaves a massive hole, doesn't it?
It does. It really does. And I'd be amazed. I really would if he took part in any of this series. To see him cobble off the way he has done. I think you look at the way Ben Stokes has played his cricket for the last 2 years, more or less on one leg, with his knee injury, you know that this lad's got a really high pain threshold of withstanding pain to be helped off the field by two people 10 days before a test series, which is only going to last sort of 3.5 weeks. I'd be amazed if Ben Stokes plays in any part of this series. And Andy, you're right. I think he is irreplaceable.
The only one for me that stands out, and he is in great form actually looking at the 100, is Sam Curran, because he can bowl and he can bat. He's not Stokes, but he's a very, very decent cricketer and good temperament.
Yeah, I wouldn't disagree with that. I think the England have got only two choices really to go, because you've got to remember that Zach Crawley's out as well. So you could go with a conventional opener and bring someone like Keaton Jennings back into play, I think Keaton's scored nearly 900 first-class runs this season, opening the batting for Lancashire. He's had a very, very good season, done all right on the 100 as well, and then bring Dan Lawrence back into where he normally bats in the middle order. That would make sense. England have been playing with four bowlers more often than not for the last 18 months without Ben Stokes, or like you've said, I would go for the all-round option. But I would give Sam Curran some responsibility. I'd bat him at number 6, leave Jamie Smith where he is and keep him doing his job. He's come into the team, done brilliantly. Leave him there. Leave Chris Woakes where he is. Yeah, very, very fine batter at number 8 and bowler. And then bring Sam Curran in and say to him, Ben Stokes is our genuine all-rounder. You've got the responsibility. The likelihood is you will have 3 test matches. And for me, that's where I would go.
We'll keep an eye on that. Let's hope he can play some part, but it didn't look good when he's led from the pitch like that. It looked a nasty tear. Harmy, Graham Thorpe's family gave a very powerful interview to the Times, and they wanted to be very open about the fact that Graham had taken his own life. They want to help other people in a similar situation. They admitted he'd been suffering from depression and anxiety for some time. I mean, you've been there. You suffer from depression. So it's incredibly sad, isn't it, that someone so loved as he was clearly felt that the world would be a better place without him, which of course clearly wasn't the case.
No, it wasn't the case. But when you get into that mindset, and I mean, myself and Leon McKenzie did that series of After the Lights Go Out. We talked to a lot of people who were in a similar position to where Graham Thorpe found himself. And it's such a difficult subject to talk about, a difficult subject to cover. I thought the article was absolutely brilliant from the family. I thought Kitty, when she spoke about, about wanting to tell the world what her dad was going through. And I mean, for somebody who was such a great teammate, a great friend, 2022, what happened to him off the back of the Ashes, did enough people help from the outside to give Graham Thorpe the best chance of overcoming the depression and the anxiety that he had? I'm assuming they did. I'm sure the PCA would have been involved, and great to get to this position again. I mean, it's so heartbreaking. I mean, it was a great tribute to him in the last week or so with all these former teammates, Mark Butcher, Nasser Hussain, Michael Atherton himself, spoke so warmly and kindly about how wonderful a player he is, a fantastic teammate. But unfortunately, I mean, it's not, mental health is not not a weakness, it's an illness. It's a massive, massive illness. And it's one that, unfortunately, when you're in it and you're going through it, and I've experienced it to a point, you're the only person in the world. And then when you're in your own mind like that, I mean, when the dark thoughts come in, I mean, you forget about what everything else is going on, because you do become very, very insular. And unfortunately, Graham's got to this point, and I mean, it is so heartbreaking. But for the family to speak the way they did this week, and the tributes that have been come, I think everybody will hopefully understand that Graham Thorpe, yes, he's had some troubled times, but he was loved by not only the people that played with him, but everybody around him. And it's just it's a sad and heartbreaking week for cricket when you see a great man like Graham Thorpe die at the age of 55.
Absolutely, well said. Thanks, Harmy. Thanks very much.
Cheers, boys.
Steve Harmison there, former England fast bowler. It was incredibly sad, but the family said, they sort of tried to deal with it as a family. They wanted to help him if they could. We tried to get him better and we tried to protect him, but they said this was the time to share the news, how horrible it may be. We wanted to be able to talk and share, and we'd like to raise awareness too. So brave decision by them, and I'm sure it will help other people in a similar situation.
On AM, on DAB, via the talkSPORT app and on your smart speaker. talkSPORT.